Yeah, I got no internet on my laptop right now. I was gonna try to pull up that site, but
So, welcome to Let's Talk. This episode is all about blogging and all that those blogging tips and tricks and things that we learn over the years. And we got baby noises in the background.
yes, we do. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all right. Kids are always welcome here. I'm a big kid, and I know I'm talking to two big kids, so it's quite all right. Uh, let's get started. Anthony, why don't you say who you are and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Anthony Hayes. I'm from me, myself, and iRadio.com, where I have a podcast talking about overcoming circumstances, no matter who you are or where you are in life. And I also have two blogs, one of which reflects the podcast, and another of which is new. I just started. It's called the Daddy Diaries, and it's for new first-time dads like myself.
Yeah,
Awesome.
sorry,
So
sorry,
go
I'm
ahead.
on mute there. I'm David Michael. I'm from thepassionatedj.com and the Passionate DJ podcast. Basically, we explore the art and science of mixing music, learn how to promote ourselves effectively, and become better DJs through passion and purpose.
Man, you got your slogan down to a science there.
Yes, sir.
uh, as always, I'm Joe Pardo. You can find me at howtodream.co with the Dreamers podcast, blog, doing a whole bunch of things. My book comes out on Monday. Check it out, howtodream.co/book. You can download a free review copy and help me out there. So anyway, let's get to talking about blogs, and I know David is a huge blogger, not so much podcaster, but huge blogger, and he's only gaining ground. So I'm looking forward to learning from him as well. And I know Anthony probably has a lot of questions. So,
Definitely.
Anthony, do you have any questions to start with for Dave?
One of my latest questions, which is something I was researching. I'm currently using Blogspot, and I was thinking about transferring over to like WordPress or something like that,
Okay.
because I'm hosting with GoDaddy currently, and I realized that they have a WordPress plugin, and it seems like WordPress is the preferred method, and I was kind of wondering if I should transfer it, or can I even? Is there a possibility of transferring my current blog to WordPress, or would it be worth it even? That's kind of my what I've been working on this week.
Okay, sure. Well, you may or may not know that PassionateDJ.com is entirely WordPress based. So I am biased towards WordPress. I do use it and enjoy it. Have used WordPress for my last handful of websites. It makes for a very good content management system, not just blogging platform. And it's because it's so well supported. The third-party support and the plugins and everything that are out there for it, it's massive. You can do just about anything that you want without having to learn too much as far as coding and that sort of thing goes. So yes, I am a huge fan of WordPress, and I do think that if it can be done reasonably, that it's a good idea. Like I said, me being biased towards WordPress, obviously. Just because it is so well supported. But I'm not particularly familiar with Blogspot. I do know that WordPress provides some tools and information for importing and exporting blog content to XML files and that sort of thing. So if that's something that Blogspot supports, that's probably what it's going to depend on, and whether or not that's going to be something that's easy and perfect transfer. That's not a question I can answer specifically because I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
So barring any like crazy difficult installation, I do think it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. From what I read, it is a transition that can happen, but what it seems to be is it is a little more complicated um, than for most people. So it would definitely take some footwork on my part to get it done, but I know it's possible. But I forget what it was exactly, but something that I read recently was what drew me to WordPress and wanting to start using that instead.
So you said you're using GoDaddy? You're using GoDaddy for hosting?
Yeah, I use GoDaddy for hosting. Yeah, and then I have my blog is on Blogspot.
So
.com.
what's your URL?
The Daddy Diaries .blogspot.com. That's for the blog.
Okay. So is your blog a separate piece of your website, or is your entire website built within like blog software or Blogspot? I'm not sure if that makes sense.
The website is pretty basic, and then I have a page on the website, blog, and I post the links for the blog that I have.
So your blog is external to your website?
Yeah, I try to integrate it best I could, given the circumstances. Gotcha. But yeah.
Okay, so I gotcha. So your main website is hosted at GoDaddy, but then you link out to a Blogspot hosted blog from there. Is that right? Okay, gotcha. So are you talking about switching to a self-hosted instance of WordPress, or are you talking about being hosted like daddytips.wordpress.com? Because that's two different things. You can have WordPress hosted WordPress installation, and then you can have a self-hosted WordPress installation, which is what I have, which is why my entire website, when you go to passionatedj.com, you're immediately going to my blog, technically. My front page, all of my pages within it, it's all running in WordPress, so it's all one cohesive whatever. It's the website is not separate from it.
Right.
And I've done that and you could do that at WordPress as well, but I actually have like hosting that I paid for, kind of like your GoDaddy hosting, and I installed WordPress software on my server, and that's how mine is run.
Yeah, I kind of like having the website, and then having the blog. I guess in that case it wouldn't be self-hosted. I kind of would like to have the website as the main focus, because unlike you, I don't like blogging isn't my #1 strong suit.
Sure.
So it's not something that I focus on, but I definitely know that it has its benefits.
Okay. Yeah. So it's. Have you looked at WordPress.com as opposed to .org? Because that's how you get the self-hosted one. To see if they have any import tools. That they might have something that just says import a blog from Blogspot, and then this problem goes away really fast. But
they probably do. I know that there's tools within WordPress that you can download to import pretty much any type of blog right into WordPress, and even WordPress into WordPress.
Yeah, but I don't know what the level of freedom with that is with when WordPress is hosting it. I honestly don't.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I know
much.
GoDaddy. I know GoDaddy has. There's definitely something in there that I read that if you do choose to use the WordPress, you can transfer it. There's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, but this is unrelated to GoDaddy because you're talking about using something that's going to be hosted at WordPress, not on GoDaddy. So if you're going to host on your GoDaddy server with the rest of your website, then you would need to do the self-installation. You know what I mean? Like the
one-click install.
Yeah, the one-click install, or however they have it set up with GoDaddy. So if you're just linking to a WordPress blog, uh, that's something that GoDaddy has no say in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's basically going to depend on how cooperative of an API that Blogspot and WordPress have as they relate to each other, whether or not you can import.
Yeah.
It might be as simple as like you need to export your entire blog to a text file or an XML file and then go to WordPress and import it or something like that.
Yeah, that's, if I remember correctly, that's the directions that I read that was given. But yeah, because I feel like Blogspot is kind of, although I do like the customization and stuff like that because I like to make things my own. I feel like the WordPress content is a lot more streamlined and professional looking, whereas Blogspot is kind of basic and yeah.
Yeah, and you can get as crazy as you want with customization on WordPress as well. I don't know that it's as easy as Blogspot. Like I said, I'm not really familiar, but the the cool thing about it is that the what was I saying?
Thank you, Anthony.
I was enjoying the ad and I forgot what I was saying. There you go.
Buy it.
Oh, the WordPress community is so big and well understood that if you do need to hire something out, there's somebody out there that knows how to do it as well.
Yeah, I love WordPress because, I mean, before WordPress, I was using this thing called Zoops or Xoops, Xoops, for some websites like back in 2004, 2005, and it was great. But the problem was that if you wanted to do something, there was one plugin. That's it. And if you couldn't get that plugin to work the way it was supposed to for whatever reason, that was, oh well, you're SOL.
It's all like first party made stuff.
No, they were third party, but it wasn't really well supported. I mean, it actually still exists today, and there's plugins, but there's not plugins like WordPress. It's kind of like buying a Windows phone. Like, yeah, it does the same thing, but if you want all the apps and everything that goes along with an Android or an iPhone, you're not going to get all that. Or for anybody that remembers WebOS for Palm, it's like, yeah, they got the Twitter app, and that's it. You got one.
Gotcha.
And if it doesn't work the way you want it to, oh well, that's too bad. But yeah, WordPress is to me, it's a game changer. I mean, going back to the days of like GeoCities and even after that, like using what was it, Front Page from Microsoft. I mean, WordPress.
You're bringing me back to high school days. Front Page.
and Dreamweaver from like when it was like version 3 or 4.
You bring me back to davidmichael.tripod.com or something like that.
Tripod.
the single pop-up banner that paid for your 10 megs of hosting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting how things have come along, and WordPress, even though yeah, it can get slow and all that, but if you pick the right host outside of shared hosting, it can be really fast if you choose like an optimized package. I think with me, I'm on DreamHost for Dreamers Podcast, and I'm paying $20 a month for the site, but it's just like it's very fast. Very, very, very fast, and even some of the shared hosting isn't bad at all. For $3 a month, I mean, you can't beat it.
Passionate DJ is on a shared server, not a WordPress server, but it is a shared host, and even at the traffic it's seeing now, it does fine.
Wow, one thing is I had Dreamers Podcast hosted on a virtual private server for a while, and it was costing me like $35 a month or something like that for all of 600 megabytes of RAM, And after a little while, it started rebooting every single day. I was getting an email. Your server rebooted. And I'm like, but if I was on shared, it wouldn't be doing that. I was like, I don't understand the logic here.
I think the main thing that I've been trying to work on is basically trying to like integrate my website, blog, and podcast the best that I can, using all the tools available, but also keeping the cost low without compromising integrity and stuff like that, because everything I'm doing is more of a hobby and I'm not making money on it. So I hate to be the cheap guy, but the least amount to nothing that I can pay for it at this current juncture is the best for me. So that's kind of what I want to, is trying to integrate everything. It seems like you guys have been able to capture that very well.
What do you mean when you say integrate? Do you mean like actually physically integrating all these together, the interfaces together? Are you talking about like from a kind of branding perspective?
I think a little bit of both. I want to be able to send people like right to the website, and from there, them be able to access all my content.
So,
without sending them to, Blogspot, without linking out to Blogspot or
right.
to, linking out to my, a Spreaker podcast, and kind of jumping all over the place, because me and Joe had talked about this last week on, organizing your web page and having just that one page for contact and all your social media, and, kind of keeping things more organized, because you want to keep them on your site, and you want to keep them looking at all your resources as opposed to going elsewhere.
Yeah, bounce rate is crazy on pages these days, and people don't really have time to go look for a separate page for anything. So the easier you can make it for them, the better. As far as integration goes, if I may say so, it's counterintuitive to me to have a website and then link that website to an external blog and then link to another podcast and however, kind of the setup that you have now, which I think you're kind of realizing, but you're going to still have that same problem if you go to WordPress and keep everything the way it is now. You're just going to link to a different place, right? So to me, the best way, if integration is your goal, I would base everything within one quote-unquote blogging platform like WordPress. I think of WordPress as a CMS, a content management system, more than a blogging platform, because I've built websites on it, on WordPress, where I don't blog at all, because you can create pages and the page structure and everything that you would kind of think of for any normal website. A lot of websites out there are based on WordPress that have nothing to do with blogging, I guess is what I'm getting at. So you have this great package to kind of put everything together, and I don't know what you're using now to put that stuff together, your non-blog website content. But if you want your blog and all that stuff to integrate together, if you start with blogging software in the first place, it makes it a lot easier. Now that being said, since I don't know how you built the rest of your website content out, I'm not sure how easy it would be to move that into WordPress now. Might be some manual work there, I don't know, but that's just kind of my thoughts on the subject regarding integration.
It's funny, just before the show we were talking about how I was de-integrating my websites and trying to compartmentalize each one. And here you guys are talking about, integrating everything.
You're breaking out different parts of your brand, though, right?
Yes, yeah. So Dreamers Podcast is one site. My blog is a separate site, and then I have one site, like almost like a hub, right, for all the projects, and it's kind of like an About Me website, basically.
Yeah.
Very simple. Contact. My online store is on there, so people can buy Adventuratorium there. It's amazing. If you love Disney music, go buy it. It's all $9. If not, download it for free and enjoy it. But point being is I wanted something that kind of could show, be like a showcase of all these different sites that I'm doing, so that they have one, like I'd be like, oh, go to joepardo.net, which makes sense that it's .net because it's literally a network of all the projects and things I got going on.
But see, that completely makes sense that you would want to de-integrate some of that stuff. Like in my case, I'm talking about the Passionate DJ blog, the Passionate DJ podcast, and my Passionate DJ social pages. I'm talking about one kind of cohesive brand there, and you're talking about breaking off into kind of some different quote-unquote brands or sub-brands. So, Anthony, I guess that's something else to keep in mind, is I'm coming from a different perspective where I'm, everything that I'm doing is centered around Passionate DJ. If you're trying to break out, like if your blog is something completely separate from what you do on your website, then what I'm saying might be irrelevant.
So what it is it comes down to what are you trying to build the brand around, right? So in your case, David, it's not, David Michael is not the brand, it's Passionate DJ, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of branding myself within Passionate DJ. I use my first name and interact with people directly and stuff. So, but yeah, it's Passionate DJ is what I'm promoting.
Right, and that's the main thing that you're doing, right? Because it's just like when I started Dreamers Podcast, right? I started it out on my jpar.co site, and I, very quickly I was told you shouldn't do that. You should have a separate site just for the podcast, which makes sense because I do other blogging stuff. I put out videos of funny or inspirational stuff, and it shouldn't necessarily be intermixed because it will be hard for people to find what they're looking for. Within that, necessarily within that one site.
It's like I don't promote my my music through Passionate DJ. I don't much try to promote myself as an artist through Passionate DJ. So I have dmichael.org, which is for all my personal music and stuff. Now I have long neglected that site, but the point of it was to break them out into two different things. So I don't have, like, instead of dmichael.org/blog, I have passionatedj.com, and that's where I do my blogging. And then dmichael.org, which is also based on WordPress, by the way, I just have pages broken out to where you can get to my mixes and my music, and I never really finished building it out, but that's the example I would give is, that's where I kind of wanted to de-integrate. It's like, okay, I want to create this blogging podcast, this whole brand on its own, and then I've got my own music thing over here.
So it sounds like it's a matter of preference, almost.
Yeah, and how you want to, how are you branding yourself? I mean, are you branding yourself as, your name, or are you trying to create different brand? And I'm using brands. I know that sounds real businessy when you're talking about hobbies, but you know what I mean. Like you're.
Yeah. No. The basic the theme that I'm going with is branding me, myself, and iRadio.com, and
okay.
Kind of structuring around that.
So is everything else like the first time father thing, is that a subset of Me, Myself, and iRadio, or is that its own separate thing?
That's kind of separate, it seems. At least the content is separate. I mean, it's still me in a sense, but as far as the podcast goes and the website and stuff, that's almost meant to be separate.
So
I'm guessing.
My instinct is that should have its own branding, its own URL, and that sort of thing. But I mean, it really is a matter of preference. But that's where my head goes. It's like, okay, I should go to I don't remember the daddyblog.com. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it's called. And then that's kind of its own thing. And then if I want to know more about you, I should, and you want to still make yourself part of that branding, there's still that opportunity for me to find out who you are and then what else you do.
You can put that in the About page.
Sure.
That's what I did. I shortened up my About, and then at the bottom I put, find out more here. and then it links to joepardo.net from the Dreamers podcast website. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, David.
No, no, you're fine. I'm rambling anyway.
Yeah, so but to me, it's always like I'm worried that people aren't going to necessarily find what they're looking for easily. I mean, I've had people be like, they would go to my wife and I's company, monthlycardclub.com, and they would say, "Oh, well, can you do custom orders?" And I'm like, it says it right at the top, custom orders. It's right there. If you did you legitimately not see it? Because if you didn't, maybe I need to move it somewhere to like all the way to the left or all the way to the right or something. I don't know. It's tough.
That will happen with your content as well, not just your interface. Because like I've had people leave, blog comments and stuff, and they'll be like getting really mad and like arguing with me over something that I totally didn't say, and possibly even said the complete opposite of for like the entire article, and so it's like, yeah, you're right. People just you have to count on that. People are going to miss buttons, they're going to miss links, and they're not going to read, and they're not going to comprehend, and that's just something that you've got to deal with sometimes.
People see and read and hear what they want to hear, it seems.
Absolutely. Well, everybody makes mistakes, right? I mean, I've been known to like skim because I'm looking for like the big thing that grabs you, right? And that's really what you need to figure out as a blogger or as a website developer. What is the thing that needs to be the big red button on that page, right? But at the same time, you can't make everything a big red button, or it just becomes the big red button page.
Right.
I attended just to touch on that, because you bring up a good point in skimming articles and stuff, and I'm sure David has a lot more insight on this than I do. But I attended a webinar the other day on like blogging, and the way that you organize the blog itself, and use of bullet points and photographs and lead stories and relevant photographs. I don't know if I said that already. Breaking up compound sentences and all sorts of stuff. They talked about all sorts of stuff like that in the webinar, and I found that pretty informative.
Yeah, you gotta layout is really, really important, and that's why you could spend hours like poring over your layout. Especially, I know with David's example of his website, he can custom build his theme as he wants to. If I could do that, I would lose days, if not weeks.
I've been through a few different design iterations over the past 2 years or so.
Because when you change a theme, a lot of times everything changes, and it could take like, a couple hours to get everything to work just the way you want it, just by, clicking that activate button on a new theme. But in David's case, he can just go in and start moving things around because the theme is I don't know what you would call active or something like that.
Yeah, so I use a theme framework. So it's basically like it's like a really big fancy plugin for WordPress called Themify, that instead of just being one theme, it's like its own brand of Themify themes. So if you can kind of buy into it once, and then you get access to like their 65 different themes they have, and they're all very customizable and have different sliders and widgets and yada yada. So that I don't have to be a designer to get something decent up, that, and hire somebody to do a logo, and you're pretty much set. As far as like content-wise too, you kind of started mentioning trying to get people's attention as they're kind of skimming and flying past, and I'm not always the best at some of the kind of tips that you were mentioning, but one thing I have been trying to do is get a little bit more visual, because pretty pictures still grab people's attention if they're in line with your content, which is key. People do not look to the right side of your web page anymore. That's actually been proven in studies because that's where ads go, and people stop looking there. So it's kind of the same way that Facebook has started putting their ads in your feed. It's helpful to put visuals within your article that kind of breaks the content up, because it gives something. It's a frequent thing that grabs your attention rather than just a bunch of words. And maybe I'll post a link in the group chat to show what I've been trying to do.
I'm going to share my screen here so that everyone can see, and I think everyone should see what your website looks like because it is extremely nice.
And this, by the way, not all of my articles are as good as this one. This particular guide is currently the biggest draw to my website for organic traffic. So I came back to it and made it nice and pretty and put a bunch of header graphics on it and stuff. I'm constantly evolving this one because it's the biggest draw to my page right now. But see how I'm kind of just creating these little header graphics, and I did it below every section, every step. In other words, step 1, step 2, where I'm telling how to become a DJ. I created all these little header graphics just to try to have something to grab their attention as they're, flying past. You got to realize it's not just people sitting at their computer looking at their web browsers that you have to worry about. I posted a screenshot the other day on my Facebook that was it showed my mobile traffic versus my web traffic, and it's overtaking. It's like It's like a dead split now.
And that's, that's something I really want to talk about is sidebars, because somebody had brought it up to my attention. They said, hey, Joe, you have a really nice site, but why don't you have a sidebar? That's the most valuable space you could have. And I said, the content's the most important thing, and anything in the sidebar on mobile is just going to be pushed to the bottom anyway.
Yeah, if you really have to make sure that you're using some kind of responsive design if you have critical content in your sidebar. And something that actually rearranges your layout to be appropriate for a mobile device, for a small screen device. If you're going to use, a sidebar and you're counting on people seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I think the content is the most important thing, and sidebars really just get in the way. But at the same time, I don't. It's tough because in the footer, my footer isn't segmented. It isn't sliced up in multiple footer 1, footer 2, footer 3. So it pushes everything a certain way. So you kind of have to play with it, what you have, what you're going to put down there in order to make it work properly. And look, that's 49 comments. When did you start this article for?
This was one of the very early ones that I had written. Now this is a few versions out from the original. I've kind of let it evolve over time. But this particular article was really a long road because obviously it's a very long article. It's in a series of posts I have called the Ultimate Guides, which is where I put my 2,500 word type articles. It was I was trying to make that a really stellar resource, and I couldn't get the web traffic. I mean, I worked on it for a year trying to get Google to index it, to list it in the search results in the first few pages, and it just would not happen. And I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and I finally gave up on it. And then so I went. What I was trying to rank for was the keyword how to become a DJ, and I think I rank number 1 for that term now, as well as I think I'm listed for how to DJ. I don't know that I'm the first result.
Boom! Look at that.
So that one that's right under there, that how to be a DJ.
That's amazing.
That WikiHow article that's right under there, that was the top result before. And I actually went in there, and WikiHow is, being a wiki, you can actually go in and edit it. So I went in and edited that article and added some valuable content to the article. And then at the very bottom, in the references section, I linked to my ultimate guide. And it's still there somewhere at the bottom. And it's very unassuming, just a little how to become a DJ ultimate guide right there in the third bullet point.
Oh, okay.
And I just put it as a source because I considered that a source of all the information that I put down. And I started getting just people clicking on it for a while, which was kind of cool. So the traffic went up a little bit. And then over time, suddenly Google decided that I was crushing it, and it slammed me up on the first page. And so then I went in and started tweaking it again, and I managed to get it on the first spot. And it's been sitting there for months and months now. It's very steady.
Now, I don't know if you would care to share, but I'm sure people watching would love to know what keyword did you wind up going with? I know I would love to know. And if you want to tell me after the fact, that's okay too. But
going with as far as what?
Like, what keyword SEO keyword did you wind up using for this article?
I was targeting how to become a DJ. And the reason I was targeting that particular phrase was because I had done the research using, I have a tool called Longtail Pro. And Market Samurai does the same thing. You can also use the Google Keyword Planner tool to do this kind of research.
I mean, this is what I use this. I don't know, is this what you use? The Google Trends?
No, but this is the same kind of thing. You can do keyword research, I'm sure, through this method as well.
Looks like DJing has peaked.
Well, when that big spike there, when was that?
In January 2011.
I was going to say I usually have overall spikes around the holidays, so I was wondering if it was.
Yeah, I mean that's right after the holidays. After Christmas is the 25th.
Yeah.
So just in January, everybody got new DJ equipment or something like that. DJ kit in a box. Apparently, Australia is big on that list too. But I mean the actual keyword. I mean, did you just use DJ or did you actually use how to DJ?
I guess I'm not sure I follow. Are you asking what I was targeting, what I was attempting to rank for? Google?
No. Like, don't you use Yoast SEO?
No.
You don't?
No.
Oh. What?
I have another SEO plugin.
See, like here is like the focus keyword.
Focus keyword. Huh.
And then that focus keyword is supposed to show up in the article heading, the title, the URL, the content, and the meta description.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so, okay, this is kind of a different approach to a different means to the same end. Yeah, so all those things that are listed there,
right,
amongst a whole series of other numbers and statistics, are what programs like Market Samurai spit out when you. So if you search for a particular keyword, I don't know how advanced how far down this rabbit hole you want to go, but you can search for a particular keyword or phrase, and then it will give you a sort of grid that lists the top 10 results in Google for that phrase. And then it will tell you how many people are searching for that, how competitive that keyword is, and whether or not the landing page for that keyword has all those things that you had listed in that plugin, like is it in the meta description and the title and all that. This is a paid product, by the way. Market Samurai and Longtail Pro both are. But the Google Keyword Planner tool is something different than Trends, and it's meant for people who are looking to buy AdWords, Google ad space. But it spits out some basic information about how much people are searching for particular terms and whether or not it's a competitive search term. So you can kind of, before you even start writing an article, you can do this kind of keyword research to figure out, okay, what's something that I can target, like how to become a DJ, that I feel like I have a lot to say about, and it's something that I think that I could rank for if I made a really good resource for it. If I'm not competing with like, you know, DJMag.com, who wrote, the ultimate guide on how to become a DJ. You have to find those holes. Okay, where's the list of results that I can compete with that gets a lot of searches? So as I started out, now I don't do that so much anymore. I used to do a lot more keyword research than I do now, because now I kind of have the momentum going a little bit.
Right.
So I don't have to try to scrape together. I've got enough organic search traffic that people share things now, and so I think more about what people want to share more than what Google will bring me.
The question: are using SEOs separate are separate entities for each component, like one for the blog, one for your website, one for this, one for that? How does that work exactly? I'm kind of new to that whole concept. Does that make sense, the question?
Sorry, I was muted. Did you mean SEO plugins?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like
I don't think I understood the question.
For instance, if you have two different blogs, would you need a plugin for each blog separately?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Now, like for instance, I have passionatedj.com and dmichael.org, and I consider them completely separate entities. So they have their own URLs, and they have their own blogging software, and they have their own plugins, and they have their own approach to SEO.
So wait, what was the question? Yeah, so I guess the question was, do you need a separate one for each blog, right? Yeah, definitely. And this kind of stuff gets really tedious in a hurry, right? And it can take a while. That's why a lot of times with my shows, I'll go for I used to go for like different search terms, and I would try to find stuff, but then I just gotten to the point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to put in the person's name, so when they search that person's name out, they're going to find it. And as things grow, I mean, I've done some stuff, but it really depends. Like sometimes if somebody shares a name of somebody famous, then I'll try to go in a different direction with it. But when you're trying to put out content 3 times a week, you could spend hours just trying to figure out the best way to write the article and the best way to the best keyword to use. It's really it can add some time to it, but you'll get better at it, quicker at it. But you know what, the cool thing is and as David has just as I just showed you with David's site, which David, by the way, I love the fact that is this a page or is this a post?
I think that was considered a page.
Makes perfect sense.
My page and post template are very similar. They both have the sidebar and everything. So
oh, really?
It's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, it's like seamless. That's really cool.
I like the fact that your sidebar isn't very big, which is good, because sidebars that go all the way down the page, especially if you have like a short article to write, it really looks ugly to me. I have like, the article I'm like putting my hand up like people can see me. Like the article ends and then the sidebar keeps going on for ages and ages. So right. I like the simplisticness of your the simplicity of your sidebar there, and to me the most important thing is, even if you didn't have a sidebar on any of the other, like a regular post, having it on this page, I mean, this is a must, right? Because obviously you're ranking hot, like you're #1 on how to be a DJ.
Yeah, and I just about a week ago surpassed my first 1,000 subscribers.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So how to DJ, you're the second one, but the first one is not as. I don't think the WikiHow article is as in depth.
Right, I don't either. But the cool thing is, even the first result links to mine. So. That's
That's
kind of the cool thing about that little setup I've got going there.
Score.
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, how many hours did you invest in trying to like get it there? Do you any idea if you had to guess?
Dude, I have no idea. I worked on it a lot because I really felt like there was a hole there that I could wedge my way into the how to become a DJ rankings just by doing the keyword research. But for some reason, I feel like I was getting penalized or something. I'm not sure why because it just I mean it wasn't just that I wasn't on the first page. I would sit and just click out into like page 139 of the Google results and just wouldn't find it. And I'm like, I know that my page is more relevant to this search term than the stuff I'm seeing. So for whatever reason, Google didn't initially like my article. And that's kind of the tricky thing too. You don't always know why. Um,
Well,
but I just
part
kind
of
of
it is getting people to go, though, right? So
yeah.
you got to get people to go, and you need to get people to link to it and get link backs, and
Yeah,
um,
the most important thing as far as Google's concerned is authoritative links, not just number of links. Like if I get linked to this article from like djtechtools.com and digitaldjtips.com and DJ Mag, then Google takes that as me having a lot more clout than having 1,000 links from a whole bunch of no-name, kind of little side websites. So that's kind of part of the strategy too, is trying to make it good enough and presentable enough that other bloggers, for example, might want to share it because that means a lot more to Google.
so I have a question for you. My opinion is I've actually taken away my social links at the top of my website. What's your opinion of that, David?
Are you? Is the strategy there that you're trying to keep them on your site and
Yes.
that's taking them away?
Yes, because as soon as I click this Facebook, oh wow, this doesn't even link to like go to a new tab or anything. Oh, I got three notifications, and then I forgot about what I was doing with you, and
Yeah.
now it's not even in the top tab anymore. It's gone. You
Yeah,
Is that by
that's
design or?
I did mean to have that open in a new window, so I must have done that on accident. So uh, that's good to know.
So to me, it's tough. So what I did was I took the approach of with my sites making a connect with Joe button, like well, a contact button, and that's where all my links are, right at the top. And the reason is because at that point, if they're actually interested in me, then they're going to want to click on that. They're going to want to connect with me.
I get I get both sides of this argument. Um, I keep mine up because I feel that while it's still really important to have a home base, like a home website where you can get to everything that's related to your brand. If somebody really wants to know about Passionate DJ, they can go to passionatedj.com and they can get to the blog, the podcast, all my social links, my ultimate guides, all that stuff is there. But that being said, the average person is going to spend all their time on Facebook and Twitter, and so I because the most common scenario is people are going to come to your website once and then leave and never think about it again. If if they get to my site and it impresses them enough that they want to click on one of my social links and follow me, that's more valuable to me than them staying on for 2 or 3 more, pages during this visit if they're not ever going to come back to it. Whereas if they go and they like say follow me on Facebook, and then in 2 months from now I post a really nice graphic on Facebook that says that the how to become a DJ, the ultimate guide, has been updated to version 3, then he's going to be interested in seeing that, and then he's going to come back to my website. Now I've got a fan instead of just a passerby. So that's kind of been my approach to it, but at the same time, I completely get where you're coming from as far as trying to keep them, keep your content in front of them as long as possible. So I don't know which is the right approach. It probably varies per person and per niche. But those are my thoughts.
I don't know, do you have any thoughts about that, Anthony?
No, not necessarily. I'm just kind of taking it all in.
So I think I think you're right. The problem is these links up here. They're awesomely valuable to you and to me and to everybody, right? To get to be followed on these. But we all know, and I think even Anthony, you probably know this, that this right here is a million times more important than these, right? Because Facebook is only going to let you, only if people like what you share, then more people will get to see it. So if they don't, then it's a moot point anyway. On Twitter, tweets last 3 minutes. Email is forever, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to set that up actually.
Yeah.
That's absolutely critical, and that's probably one of the most common complaints I've heard amongst like bigger, bloggers that are much bigger than I, is that their biggest regret when starting their blog was that they didn't start collecting email addresses right away.
Yeah, and it's something I didn't do right away either. And I do it now, but mine comes up from actually it won't even come up because I clicked the X within the last day. But
I was just going to say I actually have a little slider that pops up on mine that you can't see because I think you've actually already signed up for it.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
When you click on a particular article and then you scroll down like 50 or 80% or something like that, it's a very unintrusive little slider. It comes up from the bottom right. It doesn't block any content, doesn't get in your way, but it does say, hey, do you want more great stuff like this? And then it has like the form right there. You just type your first name, your email address, click submit, one click, you're done. And so that's the other thing. Make it as easy as possible for them to do. Don't annoy them, but make it as easy as possible for them to give you the most valuable asset they can give you besides their money is their attention.
Yep.
Because if your goal is money, attention will turn into that. If your goal is not money, it's the basis of everything.
The sites that you go to, and they have the giant pop-up as soon as you get to, before you can even read the content. Give me your email address, and I'm like, get the hell out of here! I ain't giving you nothing. Crap. I'm probably even less likely to give it to you now because you annoyed me as soon as I got to your site. But it's something that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting an ultimatum when that happens too.
Right.
It's like subscribe or else.
Well, that's why a lot of them are like, oh, we'll give you a free ebook, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, and I'm like, but what's in your? I don't even know who you are yet, and you're trying to like get married to me.
And the cool thing too is I have no problem with what they call it, lead bait. Like put your email address in here to get my free ebook, and then you get kind of enrolled in the newsletter. I have no problem with that, but I've never done that so far on Passionate DJ, and I hit my 1,000 subscribers just by people opting in because they wanted more of my content. And so it's like, part of me is like, I probably could have 2,000 subscribers by now, but those 1,000 subscribers are like hardcore fans, and they make a much tighter, much better community than just people who signed up to get something.
Yep. It's depth versus width, right?
Right.
I'd much rather have depth than width, but the ultimate goal is to get a super deep, super wide fan base.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I it's amazing that 1,000 emails. What's funny is I've heard like other like online marketers and stuff. They're like, oh, get 2,000 email addresses by like the end of the month, and it's so easy. And I'm like, no, apparently it's not, because I've had my stuff up there for darn near a year, and it's not that easy. And you've had your website for how long, Dave, to get 1,000 emails?
About 2 years.
2 years, and you're ranked #1 on how to DJ.
Right.
I mean, I can't even. Hold on, I need to put my camera on. I can't even understand how somebody would sit there and say, "Oh, it's so easy to get these email addresses. Just pay me this money, and we'll get you email address. I'll teach you how to get all these email addresses."
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a struggle. It's something that's a marathon, not a sprint.
And how many hits a day are you getting on your website, Dave?
I'm starting to approach 800s range.
A day, and you just got to 1,000.
Right.
Email addresses. Come on.
Yeah, it trickles in for sure, but it does trickle. I mean, it's there. It's pretty cool to see, and these are people that I interact with. When reply to their emails, not always promptly, but they write in, they want to ask me questions, or they want to give their opinion on something, and I've had I've had those turn into guest articles on my site. So it's pretty cool to have more of the hardcore fan base than the lead bait audience. You know what I mean? The people who wanted the freebie, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but.
And Dave, that's how, for anyone who doesn't know, that's how Dave and I became friends, was because he wrote an article. One of my favorite DJs happened to tweet it out. It was we have a guest.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, that's Lex.
Hi, Lex.
Hi, Lex.
They said hi.
Hi. So it was because of that article that I reached out to Dave, and before you know it, it's like over a year now later, and we're still friends and still chatting, and so he's a real person, and he definitely deserves the attention that he's gotten, and he does very well with it.
And likewise, Joe. I mean, you've done really well from the podcast angle, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit jealous of the success you've had there and the consistency that you've had with your editorial calendar and stuff, because I've been running my podcast for 3 times as long as you have, and you have 10 times as much content, which is great. I look up to you from that perspective, and I'm using you as a role model there, so look out.
I appreciate it, man. It's just trying to put the stuff out as much as I can, inspire people, all around the world. But if I could write articles like you and get the kind of traffic you got, but at the same time, it's like 2 totally different niches, right? And that's the beauty of getting to blog in the first place, whether it's putting content, putting out media, putting out something that captivates people's imaginations, that isn't just what's on the boob tube in the other room,
Yeah.
Or the YouTube. Yeah, for today's stuff. But Anthony, is there any other questions that you wanted to have burning that you would like answered?
No, I think I pretty much covered everything that I was concerned about. I think I just have some organizing to do is my big thing right now. So I'm just gonna take like everything that I've heard, what I've also researched earlier, and kind of try to put the pieces together. So good
Awesome.
stuff.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
I just want to say I don't know how. I know this is kind of going on for a long time now, and I don't want to drag this out, but if I could just address something real quick here.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm in no rush.
When I was talking earlier about when I was trying to build my initial web traffic, and I was doing all this keyword research and targeting keywords, and trying to get certain rankings and doing all this like technical stuff and plugins that I used and blah blah blah. I want to go back and make that all sounds very intimidating, but there are two things that you need to know, and the first is that the climate with Google has really changed in the past 2 years or so, as far as what they reward in their search rankings. What they reward now is stuff that they consider valuable content and that is written for people. So it's important to not just write and game the system, because Google it doesn't even work anymore. Like, you need to write like you're writing to people, and so
you need to focus on the reader.
Yeah, focus on the reader. Create an avatar in your head if you need to of my typical audience member is Steve, and he's 5'9" and he loves deep house, or whatever. I mean, if you need to do that, write like you're writing to a person, because that's what Google is rewarding now, and that's what your audience wants. So it's a win-win situation. And the other thing about it is, once you start getting the momentum of a little bit of search traffic and a little bit of social shares and stuff, it's more important for you to write to your audience anyway, because the sharing part starts to take over. I mean, it used to be that all your traffic came from Google, not even search engines, just Google. And now it's kind of like a 50-50 importance split between your social traffic and your organic search traffic. You have to really consider both. What are people going to want to share with their friends? What catches people's attention? How should I write this headline so that it catches their attention? And then, how am I going to write this headline so that it doesn't piss people off because they're so tired of list posts? And so all this other stuff, there's more of a psychological aspect at play here than, the technological one. But the beauty of it all that being said, if you just write to your audience, the rest will start to fall into place. So don't get too hung up and intimidated with, oh, now I need to go do all this keyword research and try to rank for keywords and blah blah blah. No, you don't have to do that.
Well, just for one article.
It's one tool amongst many of how to build web traffic. Paid advertising is another method. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to approach this. But don't think that just because you don't know how to do keyword research that you can't build a successful blog. Because if you're generating good content and you're writing like you're writing to people and you're not trying to game the system, that is what works on Google now anyway. So you might as well do it.
Bravo.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Don't forget to tip your bartender.
Never forget. No, I think that's a perfectly good example, and with the sharing of Facebook and Twitter and all those other ones, it's awesome how much power it can really give your blog and but writing for your audience and writing towards your audience rather than, like you were saying, don't write for a robot. And that's the thing, like your articles don't have to be super long to rank well if the keyword fits and you put the keyword in where it needs to be, and you get it in there and you mix it in enough times, but not too many times, because then it'll actually rank you down if you put it in too many times. It's like a percentage game.
Yeah, the way Google works now, you don't even necessarily have to target the exact specific keyword. The exact keyword that you rank for in their search results might not even actually appear in your article anywhere. So
interesting.
It plays a factor for sure, but the difference between how to become a DJ and how to DJ according to Google is not much.
It's one spot.
Yeah.
So
So if I had a list of like key takeaways from this discussion, can I just rattle off what those might be?
Go ahead.
Focus on the reader seems to be the #1 point. Speaking in your authentic voice as another. Creating powerful headlines. Include a relevant photo. Lead with personal story or experiences, something that other people can relate to, which also coincides with focusing on the.
Oh no, you there?
I think we lost him.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to get that pic. He must have wrote all that down. I'm gonna have to take a picture of that, or get him to take a picture of that and send it over to me, because I could put all that in the show notes, or the Google or the YouTube, the YouTube stuff. Awesome.
I think you lost your mic, Anthony. We can see you now, but can't hear you.
There he is. Welcome back. You there, Anthony?
Maybe he can't hear us.
Hello? Can you hear us? Anthony, can you hear us? No. Can you hear us? No. We can't hear you either.
Man, right in the middle of his spiel.
Ah. Darn it, Google.
They're giving away too much information. We got to cut them off.
The Google is angry. That looks like he's writing something. Sorry. Okay. Well, unfortunately, Anthony has been cut off. Dave, is there anything that you wanted to? Oh, okay. Well, Anthony, plug your. He's from me, myself, and iRadio.com. Anthony Hayes. I appreciate you coming on, and it was great having you, and I look forward to having you on a future episode, so we can talk more about blogging, podcasting, sponsorships, and all things web related. See you later, Anthony. David, if you could plug your website again and how people can connect with you.
Sure, passionatedj.com, at SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/passionatedj, facebook.com/passionatedj. The only one that's different is Twitter. It's at DJ with Passion.
That darn you, Twitter. And as always, I'm Joe Pardo from howtodream.co, and you can find out about all my projects now that I have a portfolio website called joepardo.net. So go check it out. My book comes out Monday, April 6th. It's got 31 life-changing concepts. It's amazing. There's pictures. That's not a picture. That's a blank page. There's pictures, and just for David, about music, confidence up or confidence down. It's a book for people who hate reading books. I hate reading books. I would tell you more about it, but I haven't read it, so I really appreciate you taking the time, Dave, coming on and talking about it. I hope you enjoy getting back to your toys. Make some music.
Absolutely, man.
I look forward to hearing it.
Take care.
Take care.